So this current talent setup isn't my like permanent talent setup that I use for every matchup, but I can go through some of my talents and sort of tell you what I use and why. So for PvP, I don't put any points into Judgment. It just doesn't really seem like important. For PvP, I put 2 points in Wrath. I put 2 points for it because this allows you to use Wrath, which is like the really fast sort of like diagonal slashing. You can use it after Fury or after Power Slam hit, which is nice. So those are 2 ways that you can activate Wrath. For this one, I use either this one, which is kind of like this. I'm trying to practice animation canceling with this one. It also only costs 20 focus, which is nice, but you can also use this one, which gives you 10% lifesteal off of your right click, and it also gives you back 10 focus when you crit. So that's also nice, but I'm practicing with this one. I've used this one before. I like that one too. So this one also does more damage when your opponents are knocked down. That's kind of cool too. But either one of these are fine, I think. In terms of this, I really like the grab talent. This one right here. I don't like. Obviously, I'm not using it right now. I try different stuff, but this one is really nice. It also increases the duration of your grab while giving you, you know, defense reduction. So this is nice if you like to throw people up in the air and slam them. It does more damage with your slam. It's nice to do drop combos with, so that's when you don't use anything at the end of your grab. You just let them fall, and then you stun them against something else, and you can do a lot of damage out of a drop combo. That's really nice for this. I like this talent a lot. I'm just not using it right now because I'm putting 2 points in knee. For knee, I don't usually use this one. This one pierces defense, and it slows them. But it also says it makes it, you know, it still dazes them, I guess, for 3 seconds. So it's a longer daze. It's also on a longer cooldown. You can use this whenever you're spinning, which is kind of cool. But the one that I'm using right now is this one. The reason I'm using this is because whenever somebody uses like a block, or if a assassin uses counter, or a summoner puts up their counter, it allows you to like charge to them with your knee, and it knocks their little defense ability away, and it also prevents them from using it for 6 seconds. So that's kind of cool. I haven't used this one very much. I don't really know what the point of this one is. Probably just to help, you know, continue your cooldowns, I suppose, or continue your combos better, I guess, because you can use off Power Slam or Headbutt, I guess. But this one you can use if you want to obviously pierce defense with it and use it during Hurricane. That's nice. But this one is pretty cool because it pops up whenever somebody uses a defensive ability. So you can use this, not all the time to use it. You can use this against Kung Fu Masters, Blade Masters, Summoners, you know, anything that's, or Assassins, anything that's going to put up a defensive ability that you find annoying, you can always break it with that. That's pretty cool too. Okay, so for Hurricane, pretty much for PvP, I'll most always use this one. This one puts up a point. It's a makes your spin obviously do a 0.5 second window where if anybody attacks you right in the beginning of that first 0.5 seconds, they get parried, and you can grab them off a parry. It's like a stun, so it lets you set up combos, which is nice. You can get trinkets, you can get techs and stuff like that, all out of just parry stuns, which is nice. For PvE, I usually do this talent and then this talent, but I don't usually use those for PvP. This pierces defense, which is kind of funny. So I guess if you're like trying to do, you know, damage through somebody's block with this ability, that you can use pierce defense, I guess, but I've never used either of these. I usually use this one for PvP. In terms of your trinket, I use this one against people. This one allows you to get out of grabs. If you're not anticipating getting like grabbed, like you definitely need this for summoner. You can use this against Force Master to get out of grabs and stuff. But this is like pretty much just like a must versus summoner. Anybody else, you can use this one because it dazes your opponent if they're close to you when you use a trinket, which is pretty cool. Blitz, this one, it makes it a stun, which is pretty cool. It makes it a stun for 3 seconds, which is nice. Against people who do blocks or spins, you can use this talent. It makes it a daze instead of a stun, but it pulls them to you a little bit as well, which is nice. And like I said, the main thing is it pierces parry, so you can get through like a destroyer if they're spinning. You can just jump on top of them with this, and then you'll be able to grab them or do whatever you want after that because it's a daze, and it goes through parry, which is nice. You can also make it an expanded 8-meter range for like really drawing a lot of opponents in, like World PvP or something. That's kind of cool. But I usually only put 2 points in it. It's usually either this or this. I guess that slows them. This makes it a bigger AoE. I've never used this one. It resists damage and status effects. I'm not really sure like when I would use that one, but maybe you could try that out. But for in general, I'm using this one if I want to pierce parry. I'm using this one if I don't mind just having a stun. For Ram, Ram is cool. Obviously, putting points into this one, I think 2 points is okay. That makes you recover more focus. 3 points is really where it shines, so I feel like if I could find in my build another point, I would. This is one that gives you an iframe while you're charging, so you know you can basically like charge somebody else's charge an ability that would hit you otherwise, and you get an iframe, and that's really helpful. A lot of times I will want to find a third point, and I think third point that I would put for this one is in my Typhoon, but that's something that you can keep an eye on. I don't usually use this one. I think you can put 2 points into it for a faster charge and nicer focus recovery, but the 3 points is really where it shines. That's what I'd recommend right there, if you can find points for it. I don't usually put points in Ember Stomp. I hear that it usually, I hear that later on it makes it better, that you can get out of a stun or knockdown or something, but it still says party member, so maybe it's one of these. One of these might get you out of stun or something. This one says you resist dazed stun knockdown. I don't know, but these are all later on. For right now, I don't put any points into this one at all. I'm sure there are cool talents that you can experiment with if you want to. That's just for me. I don't put any points into it. I've heard that this one is also good, especially if you can get to the one where it pierces defense. This is really cool, but I just don't usually think we have enough points for this. But if you really needed something that also pierces defense, you can put a bunch of points in Axe Sweep. You can even put a little bit more points into it, like 1 point, to get a little bit wider arc on it, a little bit more range. But I don't usually put any points into this one. Doesn't mean that you can't do it. I just haven't experimented with it yet. I usually play with this spec with at least 2 points in drag. You put 1 point here, 1 point here, and it makes that's where you throw your axe out and it grabs them and brings it to you. I think I see a lot of people using this against summoners who have a pet, and you bring the summoner and the pet together. I also see people using this against Force Masters, where they have an anti-projectile shield, where if you throw your weapon at them, it won't do anything. But this will still draw them in if you're pretty close range. So this is kind of a cool talent to use, but I usually put 2 points into that one. Power Slam. Now, Power Slam is a ability that I see a lot of people put, I see some people putting points into to make it either slam faster and also give you more health, more focus as a result of it. So if you find yourself focus starved a lot, but you don't want to just punch an enemy just for full, basically if you're fighting a Force Master where you get frozen if you do that, or a Blade Dancer or a Blade Master where they use their little sword ability to knock you back, or you're fighting a Kung Fu Master where they'll encase themselves in ice. Sometimes you can catch them with a faster slam, and that'll allow you to activate Wrath. That'll do it puts deep wound on them. It dazes them, obviously, but that's a talent that you might want to use against some people where you want to get more grabs off. You want to get more power slams off, but you're finding that they either have defensives to get out of it, or obviously sometimes you just want to get more focus. That's also a nice way to do it. So you do a quick slam, you have a bunch of focus. You can animation cancel with Wrath. It's a nice way to set up combos, which is pretty cool. I never put any points in Headbutt. I've never even looked at what Headbutt does. I guess you can decrease their defense, which is pretty cool. Decreases recovery, 100% crit rate on next skill. I guess that's kind of cool. For the most part, I don't really know what you would do with all this, but I guess that's kind of cool. Smash. This is a skill that really impresses a lot of people. This is where you put 3 points into Smash, and it just does increasing amounts of damage against stun or dazed or grabbed or phantom grip targets, basically, and it approaches the enemy, so it's a gap closer. Now, some people use you can absorb HP with this, which is kind of cool. You recover focus as well, but you can also use Execute, which gives you I haven't even seen it execute, but you can reset the cooldown of this ability with Typhoon. I've seen some people using this maybe PvE, but I don't use that for PvP at all. I usually use this one. I guess it does pretty good damage, though, by the looks of it, but I've never used that for PvP. I don't put any points into any of these abilities. I love this ability, Searing Strike and a Scorching Strike. It looks awesome, but I just don't really use it ever. I don't put any talents into it. I do put I put 3 talent points into Stone Shield. This is another one of those abilities that you could take a point out of for maybe charge or something, but I usually just put this in there for the fact that it stuns for longer, so that's kind of cool. Then of course you have Typhoon. Typhoon is pretty funny. I think that some people use this to have against N3s. I think there's a way that you can make it so it's a shorter cooldown or something, so you just make it more of a healing cooldown rather than like a big stun. But this is what I usually use. I haven't investigated other talents a whole lot, but I mean, there's no reason why you can't investigate these for other purposes, other builds. But for the most part, I'm using either 2 points or 3 points in this for the stun. Typhoon, this is funny. Now, I've been really enjoying the Typhoon Stun build. I know it's probably cheesy, it's probably newbie, but I've been liking it, so that's what I've been using. These other ones, you can check them out. This one is a knockback. I don't really know why I would want a knockback. This one makes, upon critical hit, recovers 10 focus. But I mean, for the most part, these are the ones that I'm using. I'm using the one with the stun. But you can put, I would recommend that you at least put like 2 points into it, so that you resist stun, dazed, knockback, and stuff like that, because it's really annoying to get like gripped or stunned out of your red spin. This just makes you unCCable for a while. So for example, if you get caught, you try to use your Searing Strike, and another destroyer uses their Searing Strike and catches you, so you give them a proc of it. You can red spin, so that if they try to Searing Strike into you, it doesn't do anything. It's safer than trying to use your normal spin to try to get the parry. But anyway, I like to use the stun on there. I think it's pretty funny, so that's what I use. It also makes you not move as slowly, so you move more quickly, so you can catch up to people even when they're trying to run away. And then if you do catch up to them, then you can stun them, so that's pretty funny too. In terms of these talents, this is a more defensive ability using Persistence. You resist 5 uses of damage and status effects for 5 seconds. During Persistence, you recover 150 focus. It resists movement, speed, reduction, and snare during Persistence, and you escape from stunned and dazed states. So that's basically like a second Trinket. You can get out of stunned and dazed states. You're unCCable for a little while. It activates Wrath. Basically a defensive cooldown. And you can't do damage for 5 seconds too. So unCCable, you have Wrath, you don't take damage, and you escape out of CC. So that's nice. If you want to do more damage, then you can activate the Fury tier, which makes you resist stun or resist damage and status effects for a little while. You recover a ton of Fury, or a ton of focus, but you decrease your own defense by a lot. You resist some status effects, but here's the big part, is that you get 100% guaranteed critical hit rate, and you do 30% increased critical hit damage, but also purge them ability. It's only a 45-second cooldown, whereas this is a minute, so kind of something to think about there. But yeah, you do a lot of damage with that one. Hey, Soul, hit him with the flex for a full year in a row, man. Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate that, man. But this is basically got to think about it. Basically, like Recklessness, Shield Wall / Bubble. That's kind of how it works. Recklessness, Shield Wall / Bubble. Generally, I'll play this one if I'm trying to play a little bit more seriously, a little bit more intelligently. I'll play this, but if I'm trying to like mess around, I'm willing to play a little bit more risky, and I want to one-shot people, I'll play Fury. I don't put any points into any of these abilities, but that's pretty much the way my spec works. I have a few talent points I'll mess around with. Like sometimes I might not use the Stun Typhoon. You might take points out of, for example, F to get points into either Grab, or points into one more point into Charge, or points into Quick Slam, or a Quick Earth Slam. Sometimes take points out of Stone Shield, but a lot of things that I will definitely stick with. I do like this. I like 2 points here for sure. Obviously 2 points in your Wrath, 4 points in Cleave, 2 points in your Trinket, 2 points in Blitz is really nice. I guess you can sometimes take out points, but for the most part, that's my build. You guys definitely can play with it how you want. There's a ton of builds available. That's just the one that I generally stick with, and hopefully you guys sort of understood some of the modifications I make to my build in different scenarios. So try those out, have fun with it. But for the most part, find a build that you like. But that's the one that I use. I wanted to make a video about it, so there we go.